Good Friday morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. Yes, it is Friday and it's the 8th of August. This video is for educational only. There's no advice or recommendation whatsoever intending doing this. It is simply to demonstrate how I try to read the market with using the charts and technical analysis. Today we'll start with Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly announced yesterday that the new obesity drug they were working on didn't show the expected results. So market was disappointed and sent the stock down 14%, just to the support here around 630. But as you can see, negative sentiment on the RSI, both weekly and daily, indicating there's a risk of lower levels, possibly down to the area around 537 here, and the 200 weekly moving average coming up. So maybe we'll see a little bit of bounce here the next today and maybe going into next week. After market, it bounced a little bit to around 645, but it looks really bad. So maybe it's gonna follow Novo Nordisk, which has been hammered or lost more than 60% of its market value the past 6 months or so, well, actually past year, 65 or almost 70%. And will it also do that with Eli Lilly? There has been massive expectations and it seems not to, they can't live up to that. Moving on to the indices and Nasdaq 100, which Eli Lilly is not a part of, but higher yesterday. Still, the top and reversal pattern here is still in play until the market closes above the top of it, 23,590 if it does close, but then we have uptrend resuming. But still, 22,670 key support that it should hold here pre-market unchanged. Moving on to the S&P 500, right there. Started out quite nicely, but then was dragged lower. There was this pivot point, as I call it, at 6,370 that it failed to close above, but still this top and reversal, this bearish engulfing is still in play. But key support here at 6,200 that should be observed. If it does close below that, well, then we are in a bearish scenario. The Dow Jones also started out very nicely, higher levels, but also sold out through this the session. So let's see today and going into next week what will actually play out. It is actually technically in a bearish trend, but it has not been confirmed by RSI closing below 40 threshold. But it actually did close below the lower here, so we actually do have a lower low, but let's see if we get a lower high. So fragile it is. Moving on to the Asian markets, we have Seng lower this morning, so 25,177 is the key resistance for a close above that, and RSI close above 60 threshold. I think it will play out because the RSI is indicating that there is still positive sentiment. There is no divergence indicating likely higher levels, but we are not really there yet. I need a close above this resistance there. Nikkei, on the other hand, pushed higher, 2.7%, or about 2% this morning. Here's the future I'm looking at. Very close to just a few pips from testing this previous peak there. I think it will take it out eventually. Took out the 41,280 resistance. I think we'll see a push up to around 43,000 going into next week. On the European market, very good day yesterday. EuroStoxx50 pushed higher above the cloud, above the resistance there at 5,278. find some resistance there at the 55 moving average and also the 21 moving average. So it could be a little bit of struggle. Still negative sentiment, but let's see here the next 2 days. If it slides back below 5,277, well, then the downtrend could be back in play. Here pre-market just basically unchanged. DAX spiked higher yesterday to the upper falling trend line, just smack bang on it. It really needs to take it out, and it also needs to take out 24,445. Close above that will establish a bullish trend, and RSI probably also then close above 60 threshold, confirming a bullish trend. We are above the cloud, so in terms of that, we should get back in bullish trend, but I want confirmation to make sure. If it slides back below 23,757, well, then we have a different situation. Then a downtrend could resume. Here pre-market, we can see we are setting back a little bit. It's the GR40 CFD. Moving on to the FX market and euro dollar. That has bounced to the 786 retracement just around 117. Excuse me. It was back above the cloud. We just need the RSI to get back above 60 threshold. If it does that, then it will indicate further higher levels. And I think we'll do it. Maybe setting back a little bit, but we have the 55 moving average coming up there, giving some support. 100 also giving some. So the underlying trend is bullish, but we had this bearish correction here. If it takes out 117.90, this peak here, well, then we have a bullish trend with a potential to 120 and higher. Still negative sentiment on the RSI, but as we can also see here on the weekly, positive on the weekly, and no divergence, indicating likely higher levels on euro dollar eventually. Cable or sterling dollar has bounced strongly to, and let's get rid of this one. Test this falling trend line here, actually above the 61.8 retracement. Still negative sentiment on the RSI and below the cloud. So let's see if it can actually push higher or will be rejected. I think it could maybe spike up to the 786 retracement at 135. Or just around that level, and then a setback. Excuse me. If it moves above 136, well, then we are suddenly back in a bullish trend and also positive sentiment on the RSI. But currently, there's negative sentiment on the RSI. I actually did expect it to slide back, but let's see that. Will it bust totally this shoulder pattern with a potential down to 129? For now, it seems like it actually has done it. But still, we are in a bearish trend, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high for now. Let's see what happens. If it starts sliding back below the 100 moving average, well, then the bearish move could be back in motion. Euro sterling rejected once again here at the 786 retracement at 87.35. Spiked a little bit above and then got knocked back. So let's see, what will it do? What we can do if we're really a short-term trader on this, then you also add a Fibonacci to this one. So where are we? Actually knocked back down to the 61.8 retracement at 88.60, 88.61. So if it takes out that, well, then we could see it down to maybe testing these levels down here once again. If it turns around and takes out the peak from yesterday at 87.45, well, then expect a push above 88. Dollar, yen, well, it seems like it's stuck in this range here. And what I will do now is, since it's been trying so many times, so okay, that's the, if it takes out 146.60 to the downside, expect a push lower, possibly below 146, possibly down to the rising trend line there. Maybe even lower, but if it takes out, and I will then add to the upper side here and say, okay, if it takes out 148 and a change, well, that then it will most likely bounce higher towards 149, possibly higher. Positive sentiment on the RSI is indicating the latter, meaning bouncing higher. but for now it seems to be stock range bound in this region there between 148 and a change and 146.60. Euro yen also a bit range bound here below the 61.8 retracement at 172.40 and the lows here 169.70. A breakout that range is needed for direction. Aussie yen slightly bouncing here, crawling a little bit higher, but we are in a bearish trend for now at least. It is not confirmed. RSI is still positive sentiment. I think we could still see it crawling higher towards the 97 and the 97.45 resistance, but as you can see, it's been tested several times. However, if it takes out the lows here at 94.80, well, then downtrend will be confirmed, and with a push possibly below 94. So a little bit also range bound there, but to the weaker side, basically. Sterling yen bounced after this massive sell-off that's earlier this week, or it was actually the 1st of August, sorry, last week. It's bounced to the 61.8 retracement at 197.80. And pausing now, there is actually negative sentiment on the RSI. We are in a bearish trend at the lower levels there. Will a slide back here, but we're still above the cloud. So the picture is a little bit murky after it broke out of this channel here. So if it starts sliding back below 196.60, well, it could have another go at the support here around 195 area with a push down to 194 as a result. But let's see, the 55 moving average still rising, indicating that we could crawl a little bit higher, but it is a little bit of a limo idea at the moment. The Aussie dollar, on the other hand, back above the resistance here at 65, back above the cloud, back above 55 moving average, almost got up to the 61.8 retracement. I think it will crawl higher towards the 786 retracement at 65.80. RSI is, well, it actually is in a negative sentiment because it closed below 40 threshold, but it has a history of just closing above or below and then turn around. So I'm not that convinced. However, we got a new low here. What will happen if it slides back below 65? Then I think a downtrend will resume with a push down below 64 to follow. But for now, also look at that the 55 moving and slightly rising, and the 100 also. So also a little bit of a murky picture there. On dollar Canada, testing the falling trend line that it broke above, and now that's back to testing it from the other side here. Took back about 50% of this uptrend there, and let's see, positive sentiment on the RSI indicating it should push higher, but the 100 moving average really dragging it lower, pushing it lower there. So that would be a bit of a resistance that it has to work with. However, we were above the cloud, we are in a positive sentiment, so I think we will see it push. Also, the 55 moving slowly turning around. We could see it dip down to the 61.8 retracement at 136.90, and then I think it will bounce. If it moves back above the cloud, expect a push up to the 138.80 level and possibly higher again. Sterling Canada, excuse me, Sterling Canada spiked up to just below the cloud there and just below the 50% retracement of this downtrend there. And now setting back, RSI didn't get back above 60 threshold, so that would be key. Canada actually push higher into the cloud and up to the 61.8 retracement at 186. Then we will also get RSI back above 60 threshold. Otherwise, I think actually it will resume a downtrend because we have 55 and 100 moving average kind of pushing it down. And after the rejection there, then I think we could see it sliding lower. If it slides back below 184, then I think we will see the Sterling Canada resuming downtrend. So that would be key to watch. Swiss franc has really been on the move here lately with the break higher and now also pushed higher yesterday, just to these peaks here, and the 161.8 projection of this correction there, just around 94.30. Setting back a little bit, but now we are in a positive territory. All of a sudden we are above the cloud. 55 moving average has turned around, so we could actually see, first of all, I did expect it to get up to 94, 45, 50 level there, but there could be potential up to around just below maybe 95. However, if it slides back below 93.50, back below the cloud, well, then the now bullish picture is cancelled or demolished. Dollar Swiss that got corrected down to the 61.8 at 80 and a bit. It's just in this range here. I would say if it takes out 80 and to the downside, well, then I think we'll see downside trend to resume. But for now, we are trying to establish a bullish trend, positive sentiment on the RSI, and we could see a bounce where it crawls higher. So let's see if that will actually materialize. So a little bit caught range bound here, I would say. It's really hard to guess which way it will turn around. Maybe this was the correction and it will push higher towards 82.5, but 80 is the key support. The dollar index, below the 55 moving average, actually below the 61.8 retracement, didn't get all the way down to the 786 retracement. So a little bit of strength there. Will it bounce and will it get back above the cloud? If it does get back above the cloud and the 99 level, then uptrend could likely push it higher towards these area we talked about, 100 spot 32, 100 spot 74, possibly higher. If it takes out the low today, then I think then we will see it down to the 97.54, possibly lower. However, we do have positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, indicating we could see higher levels, but that will also require your dollar to slide back, and that's maybe not in the cards at the moment. Let's just have a quick look at it. It could slide lower from here, so that would be key, and actually still in a negative sentiment. So it's really an interesting picture we are working with at the moment. There are indicators pointing to higher levels on euro dollar and lower levels on the dollar index, but there are also indicators pointing other directions. So really keep an eye on what's going on. Gold has bounced strongly and is now trading around the 3400, actually spiked above it, and the 786 retracement. I think we could see a little bit of a setback. RSI flirting with the 60 threshold. It is already in a positive sentiment, but a close above 60 threshold again will further confirm we will see higher levels on gold. So let's see. I think if it takes out 34.10 today, well, then it will also establish 60 threshold, above 60 threshold on the RSI, and I think we'll see a push above this peak towards 3,500. Expect a little bit of a setback, I think, a little bit of correction here. But we are actually in a positive scenario, a bullish scenario. The silver currently trading above the resistance and the 61.8 retracement at 38.30. And I think it will push higher. Positive sentiment on the RSI. RSI is crawling back above 60, or trying to at least, and we could see it push higher here in the coming weeks. And I think we will see it pushing higher towards 40, 41 after this bigger correction that gives it energy higher. However, if it slides back below 37.50, well, then the picture will be demolished, and we have a new situation we need to discuss. Then we have platinum that's really not doing much. It's just hovering around or humming around here, and it's like not interesting doing much. It seems like we have a little bit of a situation here where there's some at 13.57 or 13.56.5, but 13.57 can't really get above that here. around the 38.2 retracement also, but I think if we see a push above that 1357, then I think we'll see a push up to 1400, and that would probably also mean that RSI is back above the falling trend line, above the 60 threshold, and likely higher levels to follow in the coming weeks, unless it slides back below 1297, then the 1261 could come under pressure. Copper, well, not really much to say. It's just trading sideways. No interest at the moment. I think that after this this massive sell-off, there someone is still trying to fathom what's actually has been going on. Well, it was the tariff talk that has been going on. So still sideways. Could bounce up to 464, 465, but it needs to get back above 465 to really establish a stronger bounce towards the 495. But for now, it seems very repressed, to say the least. On the energy side, we have WTI crude oil sliding below the 64, has closed below yesterday, and keeps sliding lower. And currently RSI below 60 threshold, sorry, 40 threshold, meaning we are currently in a negative sentiment. So unless we can get WTI back above $64 a barrel, well, then we are really in a confirmed bearish trend with a potential down to around 64. Brent crude oil also here below the support there, and also negative sentiment at the moment on the RSI. Didn't close below 40 yesterday, but could do it today. So unless it can close the week above these support lines here, well, then we are also here in a bearish trend with a potential down to around 62.50 area. The European nat gas currently trading around the 786 retracement at 32.70. Bearish mood. We are in a bearish trend and negative sentiment. I think it will slide lower, could bounce a little bit, but look at this. We have the 100 and the 55 moving average declining. So I think we will see lower levels eventually towards 31 and 30. Moving on to the nat gas. US nat gas has paused a bit here at just above, just around 290. Resistance here at 319, and move above that, then we could see us bounce up to 335, but we are in a bearish trend, negative sentiment indicating likely lower levels, but for now we could see a little bit of counter trend. Moving on to the yields or interest rates, US 10-year Treasury yield really not doing much at the moment, taking a breather. 420 still the key support. So what I'll do, I'll just adjust this one, and then I think if it takes it out, then we'll see it down to 412. Could still bounce up to, but look at this, all the moving average declining. So what is expecting? Expecting a recession, maybe slowdown in economy, or what does it expect? So let's see. Maybe the situation will be we know more next week, of course, but let's see how it is unfold. But just keep on those levels if you are trading yields. The EU 10-year basically caught range bound. It is between 558 and 258 and 272. So it's really not much to say about this. The same with the UK 10 that has bounced from around the 450. 55 moving average pushing it down a little bit, but we also range bound. So it's no clear direction at the moment on the yields there. On the cryptos finally here, we have Bitcoin that keeps bouncing, and I think it will keep bouncing if RSI moves back above 60 plus, so it will keep bouncing. Maybe the Ethereum that has bounced strongly and testing previous peaks here from about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, testing that. I think it will push higher. RSI back above 60 threshold. If it also breaks above its falling trend line there, then I think we'll see Ethereum pushing towards 4,200 maybe even 4,300, which is the 161.8 projection of this correction there. So that seems fairly strong at the moment. All right, that's all for today. And thank you for listening. Have a nice day and a nice weekend when you get to there. Talk to you again next week.